to connect with you guys through the I Love CVille Network, which is an aggregation of every social media platform known to mankind. Our studio's in downtown Charlottesville, and today, Judah, we're presented by Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine. Dr. Wagner has your back at Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine. He legitimately is changing people's lives from a quality of life standpoint, pain management standpoint. Dr. Wagner, Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine, just a fantastic partner of the show and someone who I've seen firsthand make a hugely positive impact on this community. A lot we're going to cover on today's show. We have breaking news for you. Merrie Mill Farm and Vineyard, the owners of Merrie Mill Farm and Vineyard, have purchased Feast on West Main Street. I'm going to give you the who, what, when, where, why of this deal. And we'll also give you some analysis on this deal on whether we think this is a good one for the new owners, whether this was a good deal for the founders of the business, and what this means for the employees of Feast, and what this means for the Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and Central Virginia community. Guys, Feast is an institution. When you've been in the food and beverage business, and Feast is a, how do we characterize Feast? When I was kind of getting the word out about this on I Love CVille, on the I Love CVille Network, I called Feast a gourmet grocery and lunch cafe. And I feel like that's kind of even undervaluing and under-describing what Feast truly is. I mean, you go into Feast, you see John Grisham there. You see, you enjoy phenomenal sandwiches. You get knowledge. I mean, Feast embodies the local business because you get so much education on what you're buying from the team members. Much in the shape of the Happy Cook or Animal Connection or Feast, these are educational businesses first. These are customer service businesses first. These are the owners' 20 plus years of experience knowing customers and their needs and wants. It's a value proposition you can't find online. I want to analyze this deal on today's show. Before I do, I want to highlight a couple of other topics on today's program. I want to really dig into the rebranding of Meriwether Lewis Elementary. I've had brief correspondence with a parent on the name committee. And as of this point, we need to respect his anonymity. I'll have a conversation with him in the near future. He was on the name committee, the rebranding committee at Meriwether Lewis Elementary, part of the team to help determine whether Meriwether Lewis Elementary should be rebranded, yes or no. So I'll have a correspondence with him via phone call one-on-one with him, maybe later today or tomorrow, and then we'll see if we can line him up for the talk show, for the I Love CVille show. But a lot of people feel used that were a part of this rebranding committee or close to it. They feel used. And a lot of people feel that the Albemarle County Public School System is doing kind of a smoke and mirror game, a shell game, a three-card Monte game with parents and with students and with taxpayers and voters. The three-card Monte game or the shell game is like what you see on like maybe the corner of Manhattan, somewhere in the Big Apple, and you got a guy in front of a cardboard box.
Where's the queen?
And this is the cardboard box, and he's got three cards. And the three cards might be a king of spades, an ace of spades, and a queen of hearts. And he shows you the queen of hearts. And he says, find the queen. Find the queen. Can you follow the queen? In my metaphor, Dr. Matthew Haas is at the corner of a street corner in Manhattan, in the Big Apple, in New York City. And Dr. Matthew Haas has got a button-down plaid shirt and some disheveled jeans, and maybe he's got a ball cap that's on backwards or cocked to the side. And Dr. Matthew Haas, in his bullhorn voice, says, "Where's the queen?" And he's trying to hustle up some money and some engagement with the community. That's what this rebranding and renaming these committees are. They're the proverbial shell game, the 3-card Monty. And if we're not getting wise to what's happening here with ACPS trying to manage perception and the narrative and the storyline and utilizing or using or leveraging voters and taxpayers and parents and teachers while managing the perception, if we're not wise to what's happening, then shame on us, because we're the ones being fooled. We'll also talk on today's show Red Lobster closing. Look, I'm not a... Red Lobster closing. It's a chain restaurant on Route 29 that has had way better days. The interior was worn. They really were not innovating. It's a chain restaurant. A lot of people say good riddance. Take your money to Daniel Kaufman at Public Fish and Oyster. And I understand that mindset. I practice that mindset. I'm a local guy who spends money with local businesses. What I want to highlight on the Red Lobster storyline is not so much that a chain restaurant closed. Instead, I want to highlight the fact that a chain restaurant that was backed by corporate and had economies of scale and vertical integration advantages that the local businesses do not have, I want to highlight the fact that a restaurant like that has closed. And I want to highlight the fact that now this is the second that has closed. Waffle House, another one. Mm-hmm. Okay? You're starting to see the big box brands dropping like flies in food and beverage. And I'm not sure if this is a byproduct of labor shortages. I'm not sure if this is a byproduct of a dying customer base. Many of these chains like TGI Fridays or Outback or Red Lobster, they have older customer bases because millennials and younger are supporting locally owned businesses. And these older customer bases are dying. You go into an Applebee's or a TGI Fridays or a Red Lobster or an Outback, you're seeing older clientele in there. Okay? So maybe that's what's happened here, is the older clientele is more susceptible to COVID and is not patronizing restaurants like this. Still, it's a trend we should consider, because if vertically integrated economies of scale restaurants can't survive in this area, how is the one unit owner, how is the locally owned one unit owner operator going to make it? That topic on today's show, and we'll talk the 54th district looking like a bitterly tight race. Katrina Carlson's officially announced. Dave Brown, the former mayor of Charlottesville, is officially announced. Deshad Cooper is officially announced. Dave Norris, another former mayor, is rumored and linked to this race. And Ned Galloway, Albemarle County Board of Supervisor, is rumored and linked to this race. So you legitimately could have, and Bellamy Brown is rumored and linked to this race. That is 6 known commodities in Sally Hudson's old seat. That's a big time, and that's a tight race. I want to welcome Judah Woodcower to the program on a 2-shot. He's the director of this fine and fair talk show, and a man who's known across Central Virginia in a 300,000 person market as just a vivacious, outgoing, and personable guy.
Really now.
A man could go into a room full of strangers and just ingratiate himself into that room and get to know everyone. Is that fair? Judah Woodcower.
If I was ever so inclined.
I think you could do it. Let's talk the breaking news. Feast being purchased by Merrie Mill.
Yeah.
Kate Collier and Eric Gertner started this business. They started the business in 2002. If you had told me in 2002 that a gourmet grocery and lunch cafe that also specializes in gift boxes, that has a fantastic meat and cheese counter, deli counter, that has a great selection of wine and a great selection of snacks and gifts. Mm-hmm. If you had told me in 2002 that a gourmet grocery, a high-dollar gourmet grocery, was going to go into West Main Street in Midtown when I was a rising third year at the University of Virginia, if you had told me right down from the ABC store in sketchy West Main Street in Midtown 21 years ago that an expensive, locally owned grocery store was going to have 21 years of success and longevity in Midtown, I would have laughed at you.
Yeah.
Because when they launched this business in 2002, West Main Street was sketchball central.
Not to mention going from, 24 by 30 to 8,000 square feet.
Put that in perspective again.
When they started off, the place was 24 feet by 30 feet.
When they started off at Feast in the Purple Building, there was a women's clothing store right next to Feast called Sustain. And Sustain was owned by Lauren Gerner. Lauren Gerner, now with her husband Duffy Burkhead, they run a high-end landscaping company in Central Virginia. Lauren Gerner and Duffy Burkhead. Find the name of that landscaping company for me. Duffy Burkhead, just like it sounds. Lauren Gerner, Gerner. They run commercials on local radio. I hear them from time to time. Lauren Gerner and Duffy Burkhead, hard workers. Feast, when they launched, had a women's clothing store right next to it. And Feast, over the course of time, through hard work and through some strategic risk, and through, frankly, having a lot of courage and balls and a lot of chutzpah, they expanded. And they started taking up more square feet in the Purple Building, to the point where Feast, I would say, is the anchor tenant of the Purple Building on West Main. Yes, Charles and Ken at Orzo Kitchen and Wine Bar could potentially challenge that statement. It's either Feast or Orzo is the anchor tenant at West Main. If you get gift boxes at Christmas, and they're locally produced gift boxes, they're likely coming either from Feast or Tiffany Smith's The Virginia Shop. The sandwiches are out of this world good. You look at the customers at Feast in West Main in the Purple Building, and it's the who's who of Charlottesville. You routinely see John Grisham in there. The owners, I was at Feast the Saturday of the UVA Houston game with my parents and my oldest son. And I saw Kate Collier working at Feast at closing time on a Saturday. Actively involved. Erin King, who's a part of this business, she's the sales and brand manager. Erin King is a friend of the program. I have routinely said on this talk show that if you need a general manager, or you need an operator, or you need a businessman or a businesswoman to run a food and beverage business, Erin King could do it. I think she's one of the most hireable people in food and beverage in Central Virginia, the Queen of Scottsville, Erin King. Why I bring up Erin King, who's the sales and brand manager at Feast, is because the team members are staying. The new owners of Feast, who are becoming very established in this community, Elizabeth and Guy Pelly, they're the visionaries behind Merrie Mill Farm and Vineyard in Keswick. My wife and I love going to Merrie Mill Farm and Vineyard. My wife's baby shower for our youngest son was at Merrie Mill Farm and Vineyard. Have you guys been to Merrie Mill Farm and Vineyard in Keswick? I mean, you're talking about a beautiful farm and vineyard. The decor and the ambiance, the feng shui, the layout, the feel, the look, whatever the hell you want to call it, of Merrie Mill Farm and Vineyard is gorgeous. And it is very different than many of the vineyards and wineries around this area. The vineyards and wineries in this area, their tasting rooms, I would utilize adjectives like elegant, traditional. I would utilize adjectives like consistent, adjectives like expected. Merrie Mill Farm and Vineyard, the decor is completely different than what you would think of a local vineyard or winery. It's eclectic. It's fun. The energy is palpable and tangible. It's out of the box. How would you describe it, Janice Boyce Trevelyan? She says it's beautiful and unusual. Merrie Mill Farm and Vineyard, she says on one of the 15 Facebook pages this show airs upon, good food, good wine, good people, she says. If you haven't been to this vineyard in Keswick, I encourage you to take the drive and try it out. Now, I want to do some deal analysis. Before I get deal analysis, are we in a two-shot?
Yeah.
Offer some background or some intel that you found when researching this story to talk about. What are some other talking points that should be highlighted? And then I will offer some deal analysis on whether this was a good deal for the community, the buyers, and the sellers.
Well, I think what stuck out to me in the news release was just the appreciation that the Pellys
who own Merrie Mill Farm and Vineyard.
Yeah. The appreciation that they have for Feast, and I think just their passion to continue expanding the business and just making it continuing the business at the level of quality that it's been ran under for all the years that it's been open, and I appreciate that. And how often do you hear about someone buying a business and being just as passionate for it as the original owners?
Any other history that you found on the websites that should be out there? Any other talking points at all? And I don't want to put you on the spot here. And Scott Aaronworth says he loves your scarf. And Scott, I also saw Trevor Lawrence at the Waffle House following the Jacksonville Jaguars playoff victory. Kelly Jackson gives Aaron King some props. I love Aaron King. I think Aaron King legitimately could run any business in food and beverage. She's an operator of tremendous talents. She is the sales and branding manager at Feast currently. Look, I'm going to give you some deal analysis on here. If you own a farm and vineyard that is known for high standards and excellence and making the customer interaction with your Merrie Mill Farm and Vineyard a memorable experience. And this is how I would describe going to Merrie Mill. It is an experience. Are you yawning? You okay? You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You're everything okay? You need to take a nap?
Oh, that would be great.
Do you want to go hide under the desk? I got a pillow for you. You can take a nap over there.
A pillow even.
Merrie Mill Farm and Vineyard is going to vertically integrate Feast with its business model. And here's what you're going to see. You're going to see products available for purchase at Merrie Mill Farm and Vineyard that will also be available for purchase at Feast. You'll see the menu start to cross-pollinate, and you'll see essentially two different points of sale. And if you go to Merrie Mill Farm and Vineyard and you say, oh, I like this cheese, or I like this charcuterie, or I like this gift basket, or I like this wine, where can I buy it? They're going to point you to Feast. And the staffs are going to be trained to cross-pollinate or to offer call-to-action messages for both locations. And there's a common denominator with Merrie Mill Farm and Vineyard, and there's a common denominator with Feast. And those common denominators are standards and excellence and creativity and education and enlightenment. You go to Merrie Mill Farm or you go to Feast, you learn about what you're buying. You're not just buying and taking something off a shelf and going to checkout. You get some intelligence behind the purchase. And I think you're going to see these items and these products cross-pollinated at both locations. And I think that's going to be an incredibly successful strategy. Because they're just far enough apart that they're not going to compete as points of sale. And the key for this working, the key for this deal is retaining the employees at Feast. And the folks that own Merrie Mill, the Pellys, they know this. And that's why they're keeping the staff in play.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if you start seeing some Merrie Mill vino sold at Feast.
And Merrie Mill is certainly going to be using Feast for their tasting room to provide
100%
food.
Literally what I just
d'oeuvres.
said. Mm-hmm. I think deals like this are literally win-win-win. Kate and Eric have been doing this for 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
They've been successful. This company does many millions of dollars a year in sales. Feast is very DL and in very unassuming fashion a multi-million-dollar a year company. Facts. Those are facts, people. And after 21 years of running a gourmet grocery and lunch cafe, they want to do something else. And they've found a phenomenal steward to continue their legacy. And Feast is Kate and Eric's legacy. And the people that bought it, they are showing a willingness to have skin in the game and become physically and emotionally invested in Central Virginia. You don't launch a vineyard, a farm vineyard, unless you're willing to bust your ass. Certainly not in a market that is saturated with vineyards. And they did just that. Now they're doubling down and buying a business at a hefty price tag. And it's a price tag that's been justified by sales, but it's still a hefty price tag. So the community wins because you have somebody that's emotionally and physically invested in the community to take Feast to a different level. The sellers win because they've been doing this for 21 years and they need a break. The buyers win because they can take this brand, Feast, and cross-pollinate it with the brand that's already booming in popularity in Merrie Mill. And the community truly is the winner because now we have an opportunity to see what happens when the second generation of owner takes a business over and brings new innovative concepts and ideas to the business model.
Without losing the business or having it completely changed.
100%.
Because they're keeping the same staff, and it sounds like it's going to be business as usual while they figure out how to integrate the two.
100% agree. And if I'm Elizabeth and Guy Pelly, I figure out a way to get Aaron King even more actively involved in both businesses. And Aaron, I could truly see you as being kind of like a district or regional or 2-unit operator, Merrie Mill and Feast, and overseeing the execution day to day for both of them. And I think if you were given that opportunity, you would crush it, Aaron. You would freaking crush it. Anything you want to add with this? This will be all over the traditional news cycle tonight and tomorrow and for the next few days to come. This is breaking news. A 21-year-old business has been sold on one of the most important strips in Charlottesville, West Main Street, in a building owned by Alan Kajin, the bi-coastal landlord with a life in San Francisco and a life in Charlottesville, an attorney who was, whether you know this or not, maybe the most powerful commercial owner in Charlottesville City, except for maybe Corin Capshaw. I love everything that transpired here. Everything that transpired. Anything else you want to close with?
No.
All right, let's go to the next topic and put the headlines back on screen with the one shot, and then I'll weave you back in here. Look, late last week, in fact, the news broke on Thursday evening. This past Thursday evening, the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors, the Albemarle County School Board, approved the rebranding of Meriwether Lewis Elementary School. And Meriwether Lewis Elementary School has now been rebranded Ivy Elementary School. Ivy Elementary School. I told you for weeks this was going to happen. For weeks we explained on this show that the school board and Dr. Matthew Haas and his cabinet, the superintendent's office, and the leadership team right below his office and his position. I explained to you that they were going to ignore the survey results, and they were just leveraging and using. Let's cut to the chase of what the word really was. The rebranding committee was used. Because if you used a rebranding committee for Kale Elementary, and you used a rebranding committee for Jack Jewett, and you used a rebranding committee for Meriwether Lewis, and you ignore the survey results or the feedback from the parents in the schools, and you just go with the plan that you had all along and disregard the committee and the survey results, if you do that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row, isn't that using people in the committee? I mean, maybe one time we'll give the school board and the superintendent's office the benefit of the doubt, Judah, and we'll say if they ignored a rebranding committee or a group of parents and survey results from those parents, then we'll say then it's not using. But if it happens a bunch of times in a row, aren't you just forming these committees and using these parent groups for smoke and mirror purposes? I mean, help me understand this. Are we back on a 2-shot here?
Now we are. I don't know if I'd say using. It seems almost tone deaf, like thinking that no one would ever know that. It's like they put up a smoke and mirror show, but then thought that they didn't even have to try to hide it. It's like showing your work when you're trying to be sneaky.
One of the school board members on Thursday's meeting said the process was convoluted. And the school board member indicated that the rebranding, the results these surveys and these parent feedback groups were offering, the school board member indicated in Thursday's meeting that they were never truly going to be considered. But the communication with the public was done poorly. This is my beef. This is the beef I have here. Why have parent committees and solicit survey interaction if you're just going to ignore and disregard the survey results and the feedback you get from the parent committees? Just do the rebranding without having the survey results in the committees, and then you don't piss people off.
I'd be irritated that my time had been wasted if I was part of that.
100%.
Like, really?
100%.
I came here and wasted my time when I could have
For
been
free.
spending it with my
kids,
family, and for what? So you can pretend that you're. I mean, I don't even know what the goal here was.
Right.
That's why it just seems so odd.
See, optics matter. Optics matter. Why are we going to champion the sale of Feast? We're championing the sale of Feast because optics matter. Feast, locally owned, was sold by another couple that owns another local business, and they're going to keep it locally owned. Optics matter. Dr. Matthew Haas is doing rebranding of schools when kids can't get to school on time, and when teachers are quitting, and when there's fights and sexual assaults alleged in hallways. The Daily Progress, the paper of record for Central Virginia, is now reporting on an alleged sexual assault with the JV football team in a locker room at Almora. The Progress is now reporting it. We've been talking about this for 3 months.
I don't think it's alleged anymore.
I still feel comfortable using the word alleged. And the reason you say you don't think it's alleged anymore, because now we know that students were charged with crimes.
Yeah.
That's why you say that, right? Because the police, who was asked to investigate what happened in the locker room with the JV football team, the police have charged students with crimes. Optics matter. Why haven't we had a press release? Why haven't we had a press conference? Why haven't we heard from the folks running the school board or on the school board or running the schools about what the hell happened in the locker room? The longer Dr. Haas and Paulie G, the ACPS spokesman, and the longer the school board say nothing, the more the rumor mill gains momentum and steam, and more community members wonder, good God, it must have been grave. It's the same reason we're asking, we're begging, we're pleading Kachis, the new Charlottesville Police Department chief, the new chief of police. He started today. Michael Kachis, CPD.
Tomorrow,
is it today or tomorrow? He starts.
I think it's tomorrow.
In the next 24 hours, if not right now. Michael Kachis, please have a press conference for the community and say what you're going to do to address the gun violence and the shootings that have been rampant in a 10.2 square mile city.
Yeah.
Manage optics. Manage perception. Dr. Haas has piss poorly managed perception. Michael Kachis, we will see how well he manages perception. But one thing I will say is Kate Collier and Eric Gertner and Elizabeth and Guy Pelly know how to manage perception. They know how to be transparent. And they know how to manage the direction of the narrative. And they did it by letting folks know that the business at Feast on West Main's been sold.
Yeah.
What have we had from Haas? Nothing.
Nothing.
Literally. What have we had from Kachis? To be determined. Don't you think the police chief should have a press conference? The newly minted police chief who's making basically $250,000 in compensation when you include salary and health care and all the bennies? Don't you think he should say, hey, community, I'm taking this job. I'm new on it, and I'm still learning what should be done, but please be mindful that I understand there's been a lot of gun violence here, and I get the fact that you're worried. I'm worried too. I'm going to listen to learn in this community, and I'm going to talk with community stakeholders at all levels of engagement, and I'm going to listen to learn, and then I'm going to inform you that this is what I'm going to do with the process of managing the gun violence. But you have to communicate, because communication breeds transparency, and that creates trust. And who right now, if you could put your hand in the air, I want you to put your hand in the air. Put your hand literally in the air right now. Do you feel confidence or trust or security with leadership at Albemarle County Public Schools? Put your hand in the air. Are you driving and listening to this talk show right now? Are you listening to it at work in your cube? Or are you going to listen to it on replay? Who can say they have confidence in ACPS leadership right now? I don't. My family is far from wealthy. We think about grocery budgets. We think about paying our bills. We think about when should we pay our bills. We do it on time, but we don't do it all at once because sometimes cash flow's not there. We're far from wealthy. Are we on a track to do well and be set up for retirement? Yes, we are. But right now, we are far from wealthy. And our far from wealthy family is considering private school for our oldest rising kindergartner because we cannot raise our hands in the air and say, we feel trust, we feel confidence, we feel leadership at ACPS is taking the kids in the right direction. Don't use mommies and daddies and be a succubus with their most important commodity, their time, Dr. Haas. When you create rebranding or renaming committees and you use parents and you use survey results to try to say you got community engagement on the rebranding, you are a succubus of people's time. 90% plus said keep Meriwether Lewis the same. 90% plus.
That's crazy.
90% plus. I have a phone call lined up with a member of the rebranding committee, and we'll see if this particular individual would like to come on the show to talk about the rebranding process. I'm happy to host, and I will respect his anonymity, like I do everyone on this show that interacts with us. Golly, heaven almighty. Red Lobster closed. I was hesitant to even bring this up because it's Red Lobster. Yes, the cheesy biscuits are good. Okay? My wife gets the cheesy biscuits packet mix from the grocery store, and from time to time we'll have some delicious cheesy biscuits made at home by my wife in our kitchen. And I love those cheesy biscuits. She's Irish. She loves carbs. Her favorite food is bread. Favorite food is bread. I love the cheesy biscuits. But besides the cheesy biscuits at Red Lobster, what comes to mind? The all-you-can-eat shrimp? The 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. happy hour? What comes to mind? The lobster tank at the entrance?
The Admiral's Feast.
Judah actually goes to Red Lobster.
My dad loves
Red Lobster.
My dad loves the place. My mom hates it.
If there's one family that's most brokenhearted about the closure of Red Lobster, it's the Whitkowers.
I don't know about that, but
you're demoralized. You're crushed.
Yes, I'm demoralized and crushed.
I know your dad loves it. I know you're ambivalent to the brand.
You know what? I love any place that has a good New England clam chowder, and they've got a good New England clam chowder.
Have you tried New England clam chowders at locally owned businesses?
Everywhere that's got it, everywhere that I know of.
What is Judah Wickhauer's top 3 New England clam chowders in Central Virginia? And if you're stuck on a few, you could give me a top 5. Go, no thinking. Top New England clam chowders. What are the top New England clam chowders?
The first ones that come to mind are Red Lobster, Outback Steakhouse, and Sedona Tap House. I just had theirs recently. Always delicious.
Judah loves a good New England clam chowder. Is that your favorite soup?
Yeah, it's probably my favorite soup.
My favorite soup is a good French onion with that layer of baked cheese.
Never been a French onion fan.
Well, you don't like cheese?
My dad loves French onion.
I love French onion. Little croutons soaked in French onion broth, scooped in with that cheese that's crusty and burnt and caramelized. Oh, damn, that's so good. I just want to bathe in French onion juice.
Alrighty then.
Just as long as it's not so hot. Here's the problem I have. Here's why I'm bringing up Red Lobster. When brands that have advantages, like Red Lobster does, corporate, big box, known everywhere, buying power, economies of scale, when brands and businesses like this close down, it's a big deal because it's an indicator, it's a key performance indicator, a KPI of the headwinds, the trouble that the one unit operator is currently facing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Though I don't know how much support they were getting from the corporate, aside from whatever you would normally get being a franchise owner.
I mean, the support they get from corporate is a contribution to an advertising campaign. The support they get from corporate is buying power when it comes to cost of goods and utilizing multiple units to create a better negotiating setting for one unit operators.
Yeah.
Okay, they have buying power, which keeps their cost of goods at a lower clip than a one unit operator has.
That's true. I think in this case, a couple of the things that I've heard mentioned the fact that, and this is certainly true, Red Lobster has been looking a little haggard, shall we say?
Yeah.
And
you're talking about the dining room, the seats are worn, the carpet's worn. I saw the same thread. They're not putting a lot of TLC into ambiance.
We've had my dad can't stand flickering lights, and we've had multiple Not so much recently, but I'd say in the last 2 or 3 years, gone in there and sat down where you look up and you've just got this light flicker. That's, I mean, if you've ever sat in a seat like that, you know that it's maddening, and we've asked to change tables.
This is what I'm concerned about, okay? This is what I'm concerned about. The one-unit operator, the locally owned restaurant group, the Daniel Kaufman, who owns Public Fish and Oyster, that's damn good. He owns the Bottle Shop across the way, and he's opening up a steakhouse in the old Little Star location. Here's a guy that took Public, and he tried to open a pasta joint in the UVA corner, Pronto, and he had the worst timing ever for opening Pronto. He had bad luck. He was opening at the start of COVID. I thought the concept was genius.
And I wish he'd opened it over here.
I thought the concept was genius. He just had bad luck, COVID. Why I bring up Red Lobster closing is it's an indication of the headwinds that the locally owned business has. Labor, cost of goods, a customer base that's still concerned about dining out. Right?
Some of them.
Red Lobster had 10,000 cars, maybe 20,000 cars drive by it every day. The location was as Class A a location as you could find. And it still couldn't survive. Waffle House straight up closed down on 5th Street because they couldn't staff the joint.
Yeah.
You got restaurants closing everywhere. The Piedmont on Pantops. Peloton Station, one of our favorites. Mm-hmm. You got restaurants like Anna's number 9. Wild Wing Cafe. Downtown Grill. Prime 109. You got closures everywhere.
Yeah.
You got restaurants trying to rebrand themselves to try to reinvent the wheel. North American Sake has got a new ramen brand. Did you see that?
I did. That was very strange.
Very strange. I wish them the best of luck and success. But North American Sake is now pumping a second brand.
It sounded like it was a place opening inside.
Yeah. It was a brand opening inside a brand.
Very strange.
A brand opening inside a brand. I wish them the best of luck. I wish them the best of luck.
Yeah.
Red Lobster closing is an indication of the you-know-what hitting the fan. And it's a KPI that should concern the hell out of you if you like locally owned restaurants. Because if you can't staff your restaurant, you can't stay open. And if your staff demands too much money because there's so little staff out there, eventually the restaurant can't survive because the overhead becomes insurmountable.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. Mm-hmm. That's what's happening.
They also were, I think, I don't know about losing customers, but certainly the numbers haven't come back since the pandemic.
What restaurant legitimately can say that their numbers have come back since the pandemic? Can you think of a single? What restaurant can say? Tip Top. Tip Top is closed since the new, not closed permanently, but since the new owners purchased Tip Top from Tip Top Terry, they're not open every single day. And I applaud them for not opening every day. But Tip Top Terry never closed.
I mean, I don't know anything about that. I don't go by there every day, but
I literally do.
When I'm there on Sunday, they have no problem.
They have a line out the door.
Filling that place on Sunday afternoon.
And I stand corrected. And according to the website, they're open every day. I stand corrected. Maybe Sunday they're closing at 3 p.m., and that's what I saw differently. I stand corrected. They're open every day. Stand corrected. I apologize. I don't want to have any confusion. Dude, it's brutal out there. That's why I wanted to highlight Red Lobster closing. Oof. I'll get to these comments. Bashir and Scott and Kelly and Neil Williamson and Connie Sylvester. I'll get to these comments. Carol Thorpe, I promise. Andre Xavier, I promise I'll get to these. Got a lot of news I want to get out today. What's the most concerning? Go back to a one shot. Please, friend, sir. Thank you kindly. Appreciate you very much. We on a one?
Yeah.
What's the most concerning restaurant closing so far? Viewers and listeners, you too, Judah. What restaurant closing is the most concerning of all of them so far? I mean, who wondered what the heck happened with Little Star? The folks that own Oakard Social put a ton of money into Little Star and then closed it down soon after opening. Little Star is super deluxe. That's going to be the new steakhouse that Daniel Kaufman's going to open on West Main. Who was worried about the Piedmont? Piedmont was the Piedmont for a hot second, like a New York cup of coffee. It was Shadwell's for a long-ass period of time. It was Topeka's for a long period of time on Pantop's, Topeka Steakhouse. Then Shadwell's for a long period of time. And the Piedmont, they didn't even get a sign for the Piedmont. It was just a banner over the old Shadwell sign. Who's worried that Wild Wing Cafe couldn't open again? Who's worried that Prime 109 couldn't open again? Who's wondering why we don't have a steakhouse on the downtown mall? I'm wondering about that. Why don't we have an elevated sports bar? Why did the Waffle House close? Because it couldn't get enough employees to staff it. Would you want to work at the Waffle House after the bars close on a Friday night or Saturday night? Where the police legitimately has to patrol the parking lot because of tomfoolery and shenanigans? I wouldn't want to work there, would you? Which one most concerns you?
It's a tough one.
This has been a lot.
Yeah.
All right, last topic. The House of Delegates race for the 54th District is a dogfight. We know Katrina Carlson is in. We announced that Katrina Carlson was going to run for delegate in the 54th District before Katrina Carlson made the announcement. She's in. She's locked and loaded. Katrina Carlson's got a lot of things going for her. A lot of things going for her. A lot of experience. She has the gift of human connection. She's a proven winner. She's won a spot on the school board. She's got experience from being on the school board. She's the chairwoman of the school board. She works for Charlottesville City as an attorney in the Department of Social Services. I still wonder if there's a conflict of interest between being an attorney for the city of Charlottesville and then running for House of Delegates, where if she wins, she would be representing the city of Charlottesville, her employer. How does that work? I'm not trying to throw shade your way, KC, Katrina Carlson, but I'm just talking out loud here. You're Ivy League educated. Is this what's going to determine Carlson's race? And let's highlight who else is in this race. Katrina Carlson, Dave Brown, the former mayor of Charlottesville, Deshaun Cooper, who's actively involved with the Young Democrats, Dave Norris, the former mayor of Charlottesville, is rumored to run. Ned Galloway on the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors is rumored to run. And we think Bellamy Brown, who's big-time rumored to run, will also run for this. So we got a dogfight here. What's going to determine these delegate races? Is it going to be abortion? Is it going to be school voucher program? We have a Republican in Delegate Glenn Davis who's proposed a bill that would establish a school voucher program which would allow families to use state money to homeschool their children or send their kids to private school. Basically, they'll put a value on a public school education and give parents a percentage of that value to do whatever they want with their kids, private school, homeschool, or charter school, if that's approved and pushed forward.
Yeah.
Carlson's against that.
Yeah.
And I want to highlight this. While Albemarle County, did you know Albemarle County is spending $18,000 plus per student to educate a kid in elementary, middle, or high school? $18,000 plus per year ACPS is spending on one kid per year in elementary, middle, or high school. That's top 10% in the Commonwealth of Virginia. The reason I'm giving you that metric is that $18,000 plus per year value is not what you would get if the school voucher program is pushed through. You'd get a percentage of it, but you would not get the full $18,000. Remember, schools are funded in part federally, in large part Commonwealth, and even larger part Albemarle County.
Play the lotto.
What topic do you think will determine the delegate races? You got abortion, you got the voucher program.
You're talking about internally in the Democrat side, or all together once we finally have...
Well, this is what I'm really intrigued about. Democrats and the House of Delegates. Colson's running as a Democrat. Yeah. Dave Brown is running as a Democrat. Deshaun Cooper is running as a Democrat. You would imagine
Dave
that
Norris.
Ned Galloway would run as a Democrat. Will Bellamy Brown and or Dave Norris run as independents so they don't get stuck in a primary brouhaha?
Yeah.
Because if they run as independents, they're on the ticket come November.
Yeah, they don't have to worry about getting kicked out in the primary.
If you're a Democrat, they're obviously, I don't think they're going to do a caucus. I think they're going to do a primary. And whoever wins that primary gets the nod from the party. Yeah. So if you're a Norris or a Bellamy Brown, do you consider doing this as an independent? Or if you're a Ned Galloway, do you consider doing this as an independent to stay away from the primary dogfight?
Yeah.
I think the delegate races are going to come down to abortion and the school voucher program. I think the school board races, I've said this, Albemarle County School Board, there's 4 of 7 up. They're going to come down to transgender, school bus driver issues, teachers quitting, collective bargaining and unionizing, and violence in schools. Delegates are going to come down to abortion and voucher program. Crazy stuff. All right, I'm going to get to comments here. Before I get to comments, a couple of other items in the notebook that I want to highlight. Curtis Shaver, friend of the program and one of the founders of Peloton Station, the executive chef, he's taken a job at Blue Ridge Cyclery as the service manager. Curtis Shaver, I love you, homie. I can't wait to see you marry Julian. Congratulations on the new job at Blue Ridge Cyclery as the service manager. One other item out of the notebook, Angelique Hawkins posted yesterday. Do we have a screenshot of her Facebook post?
Yes, we do.
Scott Aaronworth sent me this, and then Scott, because we respect you so much. Actually, did Scott send me this? Scott Aaronworth sent me the Curtis Shaver news. Bill McChesney, the mayor of McIntyre, sent me the Angelique Hawkins news. The post is on screen. Look at the screen. She said 21 hours ago, Angelique Hawkins, and Angelique is of Angelique's and Dairy Market.
Yep.
She said, oh my God, French fries went from $26 per case to $46.88 per case overnight at Sam's Club. I'm not one to normally complain, but this hit hard. You're talking about a $20 increase per box of French fries. That is an astronomical increase. You're talking about basically a 100% increase in French fries at Sam's Club.
Pretty close.
I mean, you can't pass that on to the consumer without the consumer saying, I'm not going to buy this.
And you can't just stop serving French fries.
You just have to eat the cost. And you hope the cost doesn't stay this expensive for that long.
Yeah.
This is another byproduct of the Red Lobster closing topic. The headwinds for restaurants, especially one-unit operators, are severe.
Yeah. And when your margins are pencil thin to begin with, doubling anything that you have to buy on a regular basis is going to
erode the paper-thin margin. Destroy
you.
Exactly. $26 to $46.88. $47 basically for French fries. Ay, mi madre carajo.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to comments. Scott Aaronworth, thank you for sending us the Curtis Shaver news. We love Curtis Shaver. And you're right, Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars, loves Waffle House. He was seen at a Waffle House after a comeback against the LA Chargers, a historic comeback. Kelly Jackson, who owns 17 Panera Breads, is watching. She says, it has to do with labor and Uber Eats, DoorDash. They have really, really changed the game. Kelly Jackson also says, in fast food, fast casual, if it can't be delivered, you cannot stay in business. COVID really changed the restaurant world. Delivery, drive-through, and small footprints are a must now. She also says she loves Aaron King. I love Aaron King, too. I think Aaron King is the real deal. And she says they're still hiring at Panera. Yeah, Spencer Pushard, Red Lobster is closing. In fact, Red Lobster has closed. Do we have the voicemail we can pay for the play for the viewers and listeners?
Yeah.
We literally have the voicemail that we can play from you from Red Lobster closing. Do you have it?
Mm-hmm.
If I count 3, 2, 1, can you play it?
Yeah.
All right, this is the voice message that is on the Red Lobster phone number right now. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you for calling Red Lobster. This location is closed. We would like to thank our guests for their loyalty over the years and look forward to serving you at a different location.
Look at that. You put a little B-roll over it with some shrimp baskets. I like it. Showing a little creativity on the... I thought you were just going to play the voice message. You got some Red Lobster. Did you get some cheesy biscuits in there?
Oh, yeah.
Can you put the cheesy biscuit back on screen? The Red Lobster cheesy biscuit is bona fide. I love those cheesy biscuits.
Cheddar. I think they're called Cheddar Bay biscuits.
Yeah, sorry, Cheddar Bay biscuits. Okay. I mean, I forgot I was talking to Red Lobster's VIP customer over here.
Yeah.
Can you put the Cheddar Bay biscuits back on screen?
You gotta have a passion in life. Yeah, I'm looking for it.
Yeah, Lisa Costello says abortion is going to be a hotly debated topic in the delegates race since Roe was overturned. And she also says, as a homeschool parent, I will happily... The Cheddar Bay biscuits are on screen?
Yes.
Man, those things look delightful. You got them on screen? Look at those Cheddar Bay biscuits.
Oh, yeah.
You give me a couple of Cheddar Bay biscuits...
A couple?
Well, how many do you eat?
3 or 4.
All right. You give me 5 Cheddar Bay biscuits, and I'm happy as a Cheshire cat with a sleeve of Ritz crackers and by COVID because they pivoted to the drive-through, Scott. And we'll highlight that. They pivoted to their drive-through. And that's one of the reasons they were not affected by COVID. The Cheddar Bay biscuits are delightful, Neil Williamson. No, it does not have anything to do with Home Depot's purchase of the mall property, Spencer. But that's a good question. Spencer Pushard asking good questions. Connie Sylvester says Katrina Coulson's Ivy League education points her to be woke. Her stand on issues on the school board tells me she's left. I'm not interested in her leading the 54th district. That's what Connie says. I will say this. Katrina Coulson voted against collective bargaining as a school board member, and Katrina Coulson led the charge of returning the students back to the classroom during COVID. So those two voting indicators suggest maybe, Connie, that Katrina Coulson is not as woke as you think she may be. I'm just offering that perspective. Carol Thorpe, the queen of Jack Jewett, says corporate muscle was the only thing that kept that Red Lobster floating for the last 5 to 7 years. And she says, add that less people go to Fashion Square Mall anymore, and you're going to have less faces at that Red Lobster. And that's a good point. That Red Lobster and that Red Robin, the gourmet burger restaurant that's in the mall, they were undoubtedly supported by mall patrons. And as fashion scare mall becomes even scarier, less people are going to the gourmet burger bar and to Red Lobster.
Yeah, no doubt. I've recently gone to Red Robin for the first time.
The gourmet burger bar?
Yeah.
It's
not bad, but I didn't choose it. It was an after church thing, and a group of people wanted to go there. It's not bad, but they are definitely not. They're not packing that place on Sunday afternoon.
Carol Thorpe leaves this comment. Dr. Matthew Haas and Albemarle County Public Schools feel zero heat from the media or unorganized parental outrage about the sexual assault at AHS, unless dozens and dozens of people show up and protest at 2 or 3 school board meetings and board of supervisor meetings to drive video that shows up in visuals on local TV and newscasts, nothing will change. That's what I'm trying to utilize this platform to drive attention to this alleged assault. We know for a fact that students have been charged.
Yeah.
There should be transparency, or at least communication with parents to ensure safety.
Yeah.
They don't know how to manage optics.
No.
They constantly struggle with optics management.
Apparently.
Bus drivers, the alleged sexual assault, the reaction to the Crozet Gazette story where Paulie G., the spokesman, said the article in the Gazette was hyperbole or exaggeration and conjecture. It's not good management. Neil Williamson sharing a link for the Cheddar Bay biscuits. I'm hungry for some Cheddar Bay biscuits.
I would murder.
I could eat some.
I would definitely go for some. And a big bowl of New England clam chowder.
Neil Williamson also says that I have been surprised by the wide swath of cautious optimism regarding the new Charlottesville police chief from across ideological lines. For what it's worth, he's being sworn in at 4 p.m. today at the city council meeting. So 4 p.m. today. And Scott says, make sure you try the unlimited steak fries at Red Robin. Vanessa Parkhill, the queen of Earlysville, says, my daughter enjoys Merrie Mill. She describes it as whimsical. I haven't made my way over there yet, but it's on my list of places to visit soon. It's fantastic. It's really, really eclectic. Erin King is watching the program from Feast, and she said we did a phenomenal job, Judah, of covering this story.
Thank you, Erin.
And Vanessa says the average patron at Red Lobster is likely not the person visiting Public Fish and Oyster and vice versa. I give her that. Red Lobster and Public are not necessarily competitors.
Yeah. I think I would agree with that.
All right. Anything else you want to add before we close the show? I want to get to an Anonymous is watching the program. The I Love CVille Network's version of Deep Throat. He says, Jerry, a funny thing about community input and school rebranding. While there is an argument for asking the community to defer to the experts on matters of curriculum and pedagogy, that argument does not hold for something like a school name. There is no technical expertise involved in naming schools. The school should carry the name that the community wants. It's a pure question on public preference. You want to touch that?
I mean, I would tend to agree, but that's not even what they tried to do. It sounds like they just got a bunch of people together on some groups to make it look like they were doing something, and then had their decision made for them already the whole time, which is just odd.
My biggest beef with the rebranding is using people.
And wasting their time.
And wasting their time. And the school board and Dr. Matthew Haas and ACPS leadership, they used people and they wasted their time. And people were used for political purposes. My second biggest problem with the rebranding is the lack of vision showed by Haas and the school board. Did they not realize that the survey results were going to get out? And did they not realize that the parents were going to feel used?
Yeah.
Didn't they put these two things together and connect them? Because if they did not realize that the survey results were going to get out, and if they did not have the emotional intelligence to realize that parents were going to feel used and pissed and like their time was wasted, then that could be the most concerning aspect of this entire storyline, because these are the people entrusted with making sure our kids learn.
Yeah. The lack of empathy is worrisome.
Emotional intelligence, EQ. If Dr. Haas and his cabinet and the school board did not realize that these survey results were going to backfire on them, and that the naming committees were going to be pissed because they were used like political pawns, then that should worry the hell out of you as parents, because these people are the ones that we are currently trusting with taking our impressionable children and making them into young adults.
Yeah.
Ay, mi madre. All right. That's today's talk show. Bashir is sharing a recipe in my comment section on how you can make the Cheddar Bay biscuits at home.
Well, I'm certainly going to save that.
Tom Stargell, the retired educator, says they know and they don't care and they are winning. That's why this election is monumentally important. You have 4 spots on the school board up in November and 4 of 7, and you have 3 of 6 spots up on the Board of Supervisors. I would like to see the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors, and this is something that I'm willing to do on the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors. I am legitimately willing to stand up there or sit up there on the dais and say, I'm not going to give you this money, Albemarle County Public Schools, until you answer these questions and explain to me how you're solving this bus driver shortage issue and kids getting late to school, and how you're keeping violence from happening, and how you're keeping alleged sexual assaults from happening. I legitimately would wait to give the money to the schools and say, what are you doing to solve these pressing problems first? And I want to hear a legitimate answer from you before I give you this large chunk of money to run your school system. I swear I would do that. Swear I would do that. All right. Thank you for everyone that joined us. This is the Tuesday edition of the I Love CVille Show, where we just have real conversation about topics that really, really matter. And we have it in long form, and in a long form way that's not done anywhere else in this community. Thank you for joining us. You guys have a good afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow at 12:30. John Carver.